Can you hear me okay, by the way?
I can.
Sorry, now it's like, that's like the worst way to start your show.
Can y'all hear us? Hey, everyone. So sorry we're a little bit late. We both had some technical difficulties this afternoon, but we are here and glad to be hanging out with you. This is my good buddy, Mike Harlow. Give you just a couple of minutes to tell everybody who you are, where they can find you, and then we'll jump into this.
Oh, I'm so happy to be back. I missed you, Tracy, even though I kind of saw you the other night. But I haven't seen you on a podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love murder for some reason. So I love talking with you about all our favorite murders. Yeah, you can find me. I have a YouTube channel, which I'm like just starting to do more stuff on. It had been kind of barren for a while, so I'm doing more regular stuff. I guess I haven't told anyone this yet because I was a little bit afraid someone would steal the idea, but I guess I'll tell you guys. I have a big video coming out that I'm very excited about on October 5th. I figured people here might like spooky sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. In preparation for Halloween Ends, I'm doing drunk history of the Halloween franchise.
So I will definitely be checking that out.
So yeah, check out my YouTube channel. I'm on Twitter at not Mike Harlow or on Instagram at sleepyharlow_, which I hate, and I think I'm going to change it.
You go over and check him out. Sasquatch, you might want to check out his channel. 𝐶𝐭𝐭𝐬 Sasquatch. He features other smaller YouTubers, that is YouTubers under 10,000 on his channel. His whole purpose is to drive more traffic to his channel. So definitely somebody that
I was like, oh
yeah,
my God,
he's here. He's in the chat.
Hey, Sasquatch. But that's not something. That's usually just something I've said behind people's backs.
Oh, he owns it right up front. But yeah, I mean, y'all totally know where to find me. I am on Twitter. I am on TikTok. I'm not the most active person, but you can find me here, and you can definitely find me on Facebook. And I suppose I should be more active in the Twitterverse. You are much better at being sarcastic and arguing with jerks on Twitter than I am. So I let it get under my collar. So I tend to avoid it. So
no, anyone tries to come at you, I'll get them. I'll go Michael Peterson on that. I'll get that friggin' owl after them.
Well, speaking of,
that's goddamn owl.
That's what we're here about. The Netflix. Hey, Ron. The Netflix docuseries called The Staircase, basically in reference to the 2001 murder of Kathleen Peterson, or death of Kathleen Peterson. And this was a 13-episode docuseries that was released, and I believe last year. And it kind of chronicles the defense case of her husband, Michael Peterson, who was charged with her murder and the saga that went along with it. And as we talk about here, when I review a documentary, when I talk about a documentary, I always preface it with there are two kinds of documentaries. There's the objective kind, which is where they just turn on camera and let it roll. And whatever happens, happens. There's no opinions. There's nothing. And then there's subjective, where they definitely have an agenda and they tailor it to meet that agenda. So when you're thinking of, hey, Roberta.
Hey, Ron.
When you definitely, this one, I think, falls in between. I think it started out being a subjective because it was coming from the part of the defense, and then may have veered off into a little bit of objective. So it kind of runs the line. But when you think of those two an objective kind of documentary would be Kidnapped for Christ, God Loves Uganda, those kind where they seriously interject no opinion at all. They just let it speak for itself. And then anything by Michael Moore would be the subjective, I have an agenda type. So this is kind of in the middle a little bit.
Ones that we enjoy.
Yeah,
a lot of
definitely. No, absolutely. And hey, Roberta. Roberta is in your neck of the woods for right now. I know you're in New York. She's in New York. She actually goes and spots out cases and talks about cases on her channel. So she's awesome. Yeah.
That's like for you guys who don't know my stuff, I do a lot of stuff in politics and that which is just so soul sucking and horrible, and like 90% of the time I'm just like trying to figure out a way out of it. So murder is my escape to something lighter.
Mine too. I'm obsessed with it, and it's not. Well, yeah, it is in a creepy, morbid kind of way. I'll admit that, but I don't have any violent tendencies. I'll just put that out there. But let's talk about The Staircase. I thought it was a good watch. I really did. I think it rode the line between opinion and not opinion. But what'd you think about it?
The documentary or the scripted series?
The documentary on Netflix, not the. I haven't watched the whole one with Colin Firth. It's like a dramatization yet.
Yeah, so that one like kind of.
Oh yeah,
got a little snoozy towards the end.
Oh yeah.
I thought the documentary series did a great job. Something that I thought was interesting in the scripted series, though, is that because this is a case where there really isn't, I don't think, one major consensus like there is with something like OJ, for example. I thought something interesting they did is they portrayed the actual crime happening a bunch of different ways in different episodes. So they had a scene where he killed her, one where she fell, one where he killed her a different way, one where it was the friggin' owl. But
yeah,
I thought the documentary series did a really good job. Even though I saw somebody pointed out in the chat, he was banging one of the editors of it.
He was? I was not aware of that.
Oh, you weren't? Yeah. Oh, they go through the whole thing in the scripted series.
Oh, I did not.
He was banging one of the editors.
Oh my God! Well, maybe I should.
How do I do that for something I'm in? But like, that's how you get more favorable coverage.
Well, so my opinion, I just wanted to let you guys know my opinion is basically on just watching the docuseries, the documentary. I have not seen the scripted series. So I have read all the facts of the case that I can find so far. I'm a latecomer to this case, and Roberta's going to shoot me when I say this, but I'm really have mixed feelings on it. I don't think he killed her, but I think he was complacent in it and kind of he participated in the events that led up to her death, though I don't think he willingly killed her, if that makes sense. I think because she had a 0.07 blood alcohol content, had ingested somewhere between 5 milligrams and 15 milligrams of Valium. I think probably they argued and she fell.
Is that a lot for Valium?
I mean, I would mixed with alcohol. I would say that's pretty stout.
Because the alcohol isn't a lot.
No, it's not even
but
like.
I guess mixing.
You wouldn't be over the limit to drive with that. But I think he contributed. Now, the whole owl theory, I think it's a very interesting theory, but I don't think it happened. It's an interesting theory. Now, I know she had pine needles and small feathers in her hand, but I also know that prior to that, she had supposedly been putting up Christmas decorations, so that could account for
I didn't know
feathers
that.
and pine needles.
The owl thing I thought is just too ridiculous to be true, but it seems true. So I've thought that there has to be some explanation for this. So apparently there are.
Yeah. So, but for those of you that don't know, 2001, she was found at the bottom of a staircase, dead, 7 gashes on her head. Her then husband called the police and was subsequently arrested. Now, where we get into all the hubbub of this case is very bad, poor, terrible police work. Awful. He was originally found guilty. But then I think 8 years later, one of the main experts that they relied on was found to be guilty of just shoddy police work, not qualified. And basically his entire team had doctored the results of this case and about 3 others. And so because of that, he got a new trial. And then instead of going through that whole thing again, he pled guilty in an Alford plea, which means I'm pleading guilty just to get this over with, but I didn't really do it. kind of
It's
thing.
basically like guilty but not responsible.
Exactly. So that's kind of how it ended. But now there's this whole thing of, did he do it or did he not do it? I think, in my opinion, I think he contributed to her death, and they probably had an argument. And she fell down the steps.
So that's cool. We both have like different semi-unique views on it that aren't just so simple. For me, my view is I think he did it. However, and by the way, I watched this series with my mom. She hates my opinion on this. Oh, we should have done like recaps with her because she was livid at my opinion on this. She was like, that guilty son of a bitch, they ought to cut his balls off and thumbtack him to the wall. So she didn't want to hear this. However, my view is I think that he did it. I can't be sure. So if I were on a jury, I would have to vote not guilty for him because there's nothing but reasonable doubt. I do think the lawyer was quite correct that he said if there isn't reasonable doubt with this case, then where is there? So if I were on the jury for him, which is like my dream in life, I want to be on a jury so badly, especially for a murder. It doesn't even have to be a murder. Just give me at least like, an embezzler or something.
I've been on two. One was in a child abuse case, and one was in a very large traffic accident where there was a lot of money involved. But it's very interesting. I have to admit, it's very interesting.
I was so pissed. I've only gotten called for jury duty once, and they nixed me real fast. I was so pissed.
So here, Roberta said, have you seen the wounds on Kathleen Peterson's body? How do you file and get those wounds? You know what, Kathleen? You know what, Roberta? At first, that was my opinion, but after I researched cases of falls resulting in death, I saw a lot of gashes and a lot of blood on a lot of bodies, and that kind of led me down the path of it could happen. I could be very wrong about this case, but
I think there was something for me when I watched it, and again, I could be totally off base here. But for me, while I was watching the whole thing, there was some piece that didn't make sense. And I figured out, for me personally, in my own opinion, what that was. That the prosecution was very fixated on finding the murder weapon, that they thought it was this blow poke. And then what I think very clearly staged a big thing of finding it right before the verdict was read. I think that was a little too convenient. So for me, what I think there was no murder weapon. I think he pushed her. Or something like that.
Yeah, now that could very well be. I mean, the amount of blood that was on his body, he had it on his shoe and on his shorts. I would think that if he beat her to death with a weapon, there would be a lot more blood on him somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. That's why something about their case never made sense to me.
Exactly. And the fact
that it also never made sense to me that he just was totally innocent. So when I look at all of the facts, that is what I think makes the most sense. But again, reasonable doubt. So that's what I think, but I would have to go with him being not guilty.
Yeah.
My opinion is basically the opposite of his Alford plea, that I'm like not guilty, but responsible.
Exactly.
This bitch is responsible for her death.
I think he had a hand in it. I'm not saying that he pushed her, but I think they probably argued, and because she had Valium in her system and alcohol in her system, I think she was probably maybe they were fighting, maybe she backed away from him and she fell. That's my theory about that.
Blood like all over outside that, like all of these places where he wouldn't have been if she fell. I think there was blood in the front. There was blood.
Yeah, everywhere. Supposedly there was a small amount of blood at the door, and there was splatters up the wall, and then there was the huge pool of blood that she was laying in. Now, if he's guilty of anything, it's that he didn't call 911 right away. Because I believe he was there when she fell. Now, that probably makes him guilty of accessory to manslaughter or something like that. But as far as the way they presented the case, no, I don't think he did it. And also just the shoddy police work, the blowpoke, like you said, came out later that it was found by a police officer and they knew where it was and they placed it in a different place, never said anything about it. And then it was found like a year later, had cobwebs on it, which shows it had never been moved. And then the whole SBI thing where the experts, they had tainted the cases. And then when they brought in the deaths of the woman in Germany, which had already been ruled like a cerebral, basically a
Could you
stroke.
given it to her though? Because
yeah. I mean, and then all that came in, and I'm just like, a lot of this stuff is just purely circumstantial. I mean, whether he did it aside, I think if I was accused of something and my case was handled the way that his case was handled, it truly makes you lose faith in the system. And that's scary. This one does. And Roberta will tell you, Roberta and I have done some podcasts about the Innocence Project. Overall, I think the Innocence Project and these nonprofits that try to prove people are, innocent after the fact, I think they do a terrible job. If you go back and look at the cases, I think a lot of them are just blatantly guilty and they're trying to get them off for other reasons. But in this case, I think they got it right as far as the way this case was handled.
My friend Sean has a channel, Actual Justice Warrior, where he's done a bunch of videos on the Innocent Project. And I had no clue, but I was like, oh, good, they get innocent people off. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. I think overall they do a pretty piss poor job.
Yeah. I want to answer. Somebody had asked, do you think Kathleen had no clue until that night that her husband preferred same-sex partners? That 100%. There is no way she knew. There's no way. He was lying his ass off with that. You really think so? I mean, and he had male prostitutes, and can I tell you? Oh my God. Back in the day, before I became, an inconvenient person, I was on a podcast with this person and knew him a little bit. He was hosted some podcast I was on at the time. Turns out he, obviously I don't think he would speak to me now because it would be amazing to get him on. Turns out he was the male prostitute that Michael Peterson was bopping, who testified in the documentary.
Oh, wow. Wow. I found him quite likable. If it was the one that they featured in the documentary, I found him quite likable.
My favorite moment. Oh, I wish I had sent you, because I posted it. I wish I had sent you the clip for us to play. My favorite moment in the entire documentary series is when they show the prosecutor in her closing argument. She's like, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but it did say they were going to have anal sex. It's the way she says it. She's like, anal sex. So good. What was her name again? She was amazing.
I know. What was her? Was it Joyce or?
No, it was. What was it? Felicia? Not Felicia. Something like that.
I can't remember her name.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
And for everybody out there, I'm relatively
red right now. By the way, somebody should have warned me. I look like communist China.
No, you don't. You're fine. I'm fairly new to this case, so I don't know as much about it as most people. Like I said, I watched the series in one weekend. I've binge read, binge listened, and binge researched it, since then. So that's where all my knowledge comes up. If I'm wrong, I will certainly admit that I'm wrong for everybody out there. And of course, Karen's going to click on right when Mikey's talking about prostitutes.
I love you, Karen. You have to join. I feel like he doesn't love murder like we do, or I'd say join us sometime.
Yeah. Karen, you're always welcome. If you want,
not sick like we are.
Yeah, if you want to talk about true crime, history, or horror films.
He was watching some very obscure horror film that I hadn't heard of.
But overall, I thought the documentary was great. Like I said, I have no opinion on
what. Was it Felicia?
I don't know what her name was. Isn't that terrible? So what's the general consensus?
Frida.
I knew it was something weird, something old school. Not weird, but old school. Old school name.
The thing that's interesting is that this whole documentary series basically destroyed the lives of every person touched by it. like, or the whole case, everything. Like, nobody came out of this unscathed. So
No,
she,
nobody
Frida,
would.
had a really sad life after the fact. I had read the article about everything. She passed away. She had a really sad life after that.
Nobody won. Nobody won.
Yeah.
I felt just as sorry for Kathleen's family as I did anyone involved, because they lost their sister, they lost their mom. And, you know, they had this guilty plea, but it had caveats to it. And then this guy, who I don't think, you know, killed her with a poker, you know, is going to be a felon for the rest of his life, though he was 76 years old, you know. Hopefully that's not going to affect his life too much. But so no one won. And then his defense lawyer went bankrupt trying to defend him pro bono. And, you know, at the end, the prosecutor had a pretty bad. And I don't know if I know he probably made money from this. I know they probably paid them something for the participation. There's no way they would have done it without that. But I also think it painted the Durham justice, you know, the North Carolina justice and the Durham police in a very bad light too.
I mean, it was all so spectacularly wrong. Everything that the state, the prosecution, the police did, that you almost have to wonder if it was intentional and there was some like big conspiracy behind it.
I've been to Durham several times. When I go on the road, I've been to several shows in Durham and Raleigh. I mean, they're like twin cities. They're right there. But Raleigh's kind of the higher end city. Durham's kind of the lower end city. You know, it's very much a working class kind of city. So they're not the most well funded. So I can see how things like that could fall through the cracks. But I think there was a blatant abuse. I mean, why would you remove something that you thought was the murder weapon and then just not report it and just put it back? That's just weird.
That makes no sense to me, unless there was something shady going on and somebody had been paid off, or
now,
it just makes no sense.
It turns out that when Michael Peterson was a journalist or a freelance writer in Durham, that he had written some pretty scathing articles about the then DA. So there's been people that have alluded that maybe it was a revenge ploy by the DA. I hope he wouldn't. I mean, what public official would wield a Justice Department for revenge? Cough. Nobody would do that. Right.
Emily watched our horror movies video.
Awesome. I've got it.
I put out, I initially just made it for my local subscribers, but I put it out on YouTube, my like top 30 underrated horror movies. So if you want to see more, I just put the link to my channel in the chat.
Please do. My entire month of October is going to be real horror movies based on real life crimes. So I'm going to do a review of the movie plus talk about it. You will definitely be a part of that.
This is like, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to have all the time to watch all of the good movies that are coming out. I mean, we'll see if they're good, but ones that I'm interested. I made a list last night. It's got to be 30, 40 movies on there of ones that are either out now or coming out in the next couple weeks.
I want to see, of course, Halloween Ends. I want to see
Smile. I want to see Smile.
Smile. I want to see the Winnie the Pooh movie so bad.
Yes. When does that come out? Is it soon?
I don't know. I think it might be 2023 actually, but I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
You know, you turn Winnie the Pooh into a slasher. I love it.
You know what you need to see? It was a freaking masterpiece. Pearl.
I have not seen that. I'll be the first one.
It was so good. Did you see X, the original one?
Yes.
It was real. I think I might have liked this one better. X is more of a horror movie. It's, you know, more horror. This was just more of a straight up movie. It was a masterpiece, though. It was just so nice to see a movie again with actual cinematography and locations, and it's like a real movie.
Exactly. I'll definitely check it out.
No CGI, no nothing.
It's awesome. I haven't even seen the second Top Gun yet, Maverick. I haven't even seen it.
I never saw the first one. I know.
Oh my God.
Well,
that needs to be a Friday night movie.
Really?
On the club. It sure does. Durham is scary with crime right now. Yeah, Durham, has always had an elevated crime rate. When I've been in the Raleigh-Durham area doing comedy, I'm always told, no, are you staying in Raleigh or you're staying in Durham? Like, people want to know. And they tell me, well, don't go here, don't go there. So I think they've always had a crime problem there.
That's interesting. From the series, it seems like so uppity.
Well, I mean, Duke is right there. Duke's in Raleigh. I mean, it's right there. I mean, they're right. I mean, it's hard to tell where Durham ends and Raleigh begins, but they're like right there. But there's nice areas of it. Don't get me wrong. But I do think that the overall tone of this case just really painted the whole justice system there in a bad light. You know, you combine this with the Duke lacrosse case, and you've just got, you know, you don't want to be tried in Raleigh-Durham at all.
Oh no! Remind me not to kill anyone there.
Yeah. If you do kill them, take them out. Take them over to South Carolina or something.
I had a while ago. I had a dream that like the cops were onto me and they knew about the people I killed and they had the bodies, and I was like, and so I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I'm gonna go to jail. And then I was like, wait a second, you didn't kill anyone, you stupid bitch.
I was about to say, Mike, how many people have you killed?
I forgot for a second that I haven't killed anyone. Like, wait, you stupid bitch.
My favorite thing is when I usually fall asleep listening to either an Audible book or a podcast doing research. And you know how when you're kind of in that dream state, halfway between sleep and awake, you'll dream about whatever you're hearing, and I'll have the weirdest dreams. Like I'm right in the middle of these crimes, and it's just, it freaks me out.
I had the coolest thing probably of like that anyone follows me is that sometimes people send me books. So somebody, I just gotten sent a book that's like a horror novel. I think it's called My Heart is a Chainsaw. So I'm very excited to start reading that.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, wow.
So
no, I was very young when it happened.
I mean, I wasn't young. I think I was in graduate school when it was going on. Mikey's the youngin.
Oh, I might have oversold that a little by saying very.
And Ron is actually writing a book on the Ballo murders, the case that I've been covering for so long. And but Ron, what was your overall opinion on the case? Do you think he did it? Did he do it with a poker, like they said, or did he push her down the steps, or did he kill her in some other way, or was it an accident? What's your opinion on that?
I think he went telenovela style, pushed her down the stairs.
It's possible. Like I said, I'm sure that there have been people that have rage quit. Roberta's probably rage quit my channel, but I hope not. But
I was just watching an interview he gave to 60 Minutes a couple months ago. He was not happy that they were making this scripted series about him.
Well, of course not.
Very salty.
Didn't he have to sign off on it? Can you just make a scripted series about somebody that's still alive like that?
I don't know. I think you can.
Wow.
Especially if it's like their news story or like a public figure type thing.
Makes
think.
Sense.
Makes sense. There's just something about him that is so off. He just sets my creeper alert going bing, 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 bing.
I want it to be known, I don't think he's a stand-up guy. I don't think he's the kind of person I would want to have a beer with and hang out with at all. I think he's very...
His hand would be going up your leg.
Yeah, I think he's... Yeah, I think he's kind of creepy. I think he's an old creeper. I think he's that very... kind of like Chrisley. I think he's that old Southern effeminate, pompous ass. But I think I just don't think he meant to kill her. I'm not saying that he didn't have anything to do with it, but I don't think he certainly didn't do it like the way they presented it. I think they were in an argument and she failed. Now, I can't say whether or not he pushed her, but I think if anything, he's guilty of not calling 911 right away, especially if he saw it happen.
I don't think I've ever seen a true crime case like this where the result of it for me is just
unsatisfying.
No, I have no idea.
I don't know.
I feel like I usually have a pretty good gut instinct with things like, any of them really. But with this, I just have no idea. I think he did it, but I can't be sure.
Yeah. And like you said, if I was on a jury, I'd have to vote not guilty because there's too many reasonable doubts, at least in the way that the case was presented. At least in the way the case was presented.
Oh, especially how it's presented. That's, a given. But even if it were presented perfectly, it's just, I don't know.
One of his sons was actually there. You would think that he would have heard something or saw something. I mean,
shady too.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the whole thing that happened in Germany with the death of their two friends, one of them from, I believe, an auto accident, and then one from some kind of cerebral activity, event, and she fell down the steps. And then they adopted their children. One thing that my mother-in-law said while we were watching this, she said, "Did anybody DNA test those children?" If he was diddling men, was she diddling? Even though his ex-wife was there defending him, and his ex-wife seemed like a very intelligent, nice person, it just makes me wonder because it's all weird. I mean, the whole situation is just weird.
And especially, it's also weird too how he's bopping every person in sight. He is not a looker. He is not an attractive man.
No, he's probably
everyone.
Yeah, men, women, prostitutes. Come on.
I don't get it. Maybe he just has some kind of next level game that I don't.
Maybe because he's a published author, but I've looked at some of his books. I mean, they don't really they're not like bestsellers. So it's not like, if it was Stephen King, I could understand.
He's no Dean Koontz.
No, I could understand if it was a Dean Koontz or a John Grisham or even a Stephen King, but
God, and you see in the documentary series, you see they check back with them over the years, and like we said, nobody came out unscathed. Everyone lost. Mm-hmm. Those daughters of his probably lost worst of all, because did you see their hairstyles years later? Oh,
God,
horrible. Like, no, that's too much.
So the consensus is with everybody, yes, he's creepy, and their family dynamics.
And he's a liar. Every word he says just reeks of bullshit.
I mean, I did think he had some real genuine emotion. I mean, he could have been acting, but I did think he showed some genuine emotion, but that could have also just been because, she's dead and I had something to do with it kind of thing. So.
Well, I don't know. He just reeks of, I don't believe anything he says.
And Peterson stealing the credit card from his neighbor was pretty revolting. Now, I agree.
I remember that. Was that in the series?
I don't know if that was in the series. I think I read that somewhere. But yeah, they were having some pretty serious financial problems. So maybe, her having almost $1.5 million in life insurance didn't hurt the situation either.
That's the thing. There's too many coincidences on top of coincidences for him to have had no involvement, I think.
Yeah. I think maybe like I said, they were arguing, and maybe he started toward her and she backed up and fell,
I think what's possible is he saw the first woman ended up at the bottom of the stairs, and he thought, oh, that's a way to get away with it. I should just do what happened to her.
Right. I mean, it could very well be, but I think
that's the thing. It could be lots of things. We don't know.
Could be that damn owl,
That friggin' owl. Oh my God. They should have a crossover between the staircase and the Winnie the Pooh horror movie, where it's that friggin' owl. And it turns out that it's the owl from Winnie the Pooh.
That would be awesome.
Her too. Let's write that.
Okay. I knew I'd read that somewhere. I'm not sure if I was reading or listening to part of that book, or I read an article that referred to that book, but thank you, Roberta.
Well, I gotta check her channel out.
Oh, she's awesome. She really is. She's done some collabs with Sean. She's really good.
Oh, he's the best.
He is.
I'm gonna subscribe to her.
Roberta and I did a collab
I'm gonna tell her that.
We did a collab on the 𝐷𝐿 case, the one that
I think Sean did a lot with that.
Sean led the charge on that. He and Roberta and Devin Tracy led the charge on that. I followed suit, just trying to help get the word out. But we managed to keep his butt in prison. That's all we wanted, Yeah.
Are there any other true crime things that are happening at the moment that you're watching? We were saying we're watching. I just started. I'm only one episode in, but I just watched the first episode of Dahmer.
Oh, I am 3 episodes in, and I can tell you that they are following his life story very closely so far. I mean, it's really good. They've changed a couple of the names, like the last, in the first episode, the one victim that got away and ran and got the police that got him captured. They said his name was Tracy in the series. As I recall, I don't think his name was Tracy. I mean, it's just little things like that. But
that's the guy in the first episode who got away.
Yeah. That's exactly how he got caught.
I actually don't know much of anything about the case, so I'm trying to not look into it until after.
I'm sorry. Then I won't say anything.
No, I don't mean you, because I already saw that, but I just mean in general. Yeah. I gotta be honest though, I pride myself on I would be a total final girl. However, if a serial killer who looked like Evan Peters came after me, I'm getting killed.
Oh, Mike, he's not that good looking.
He's Evan. Oh, yes, he is.
In that series, he's creepy.
He is Evan Peters.
He is
murder me all night long.
Perfect Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, just creepy and just weird and disturbed. And with the classic serial killer glasses, they all have that. Seriously, every serial killer has those wire glasses with the thing.
There must just be serial killer shop. And they all go there and they get that. They get the mom jeans that come up to here.
Mm-hmm.
The jean jacket with dirt on it.
Oh, I do. I love Niecy Nash playing his neighbor. That was hilarious. And I just...
Sorry.
No, I just love the fact that she was screaming at the police. I kept telling y'all something was going on. And the thing of it is, there were lots of people in that building that did report Dahmer. And there was so many near misses of victims that almost got away. He was a convicted pedophile, from years before. It'll get into that.
He's convicted of it?
Oh yeah. It's just like him and John Wayne Gacy. You could put those two lives in parallel, and they line up. John Wayne Gacy was a highly placed Democrat in the Chicago Democratic machine. He owned KFC franchises.
Shocker!
He owned KFC franchises. He was well-liked, convicted sex abuser, and yet just still managed to get away with it.
We need tougher penalties on people who abuse kids.
Yes,
it seems like they all just get out after a little while.
Absolutely, they do.
And this is clearly what happens then.
Yeah. I don't know if Dahmer's ever had the horror film character based on him. I think maybe Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, might have been loosely based on him. Have you ever seen that one?
No, it's always kind of been on my to watch list.
It's a good one. It's a good one. But John Wayne Gacy was Pennywise was loosely based on John Wayne Gacy. So a lot of the stuff that we see, and that's what I'm doing in October. I'm doing the horror movie and then what they were based on, kind of as a 1 and 2 parter.
Ed Gein is just every horror movie.
No.
Or they claim to be, at least.
Yeah. Psycho, Texas Chainsaw. But he didn't really. He only killed 2 people. His main thing, not that that's a small amount of people. Kill.
Well,
only 2. But he literally was just this macabre artist that liked to dig up bodies and make crap out of their skin. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a normal behavior, but really that was more what he was known for. Yes, I have to say Kat is absolutely right. I think because...
Is that why that you think that...
Yeah, because I think that, especially with the Dahmer case and in the 𝐲𝐸 case, they both preyed on young boys of color. And I think,
I didn't even know that.
yeah,
That's how little I knew about the case.
yeah. I'm not sure what happened to the inmate that actually killed him. I'm sure he's probably still in prison, but they should give him a medal. Actually, they should put a medal on him. But
how many people did Dahmer actually end up killing? It was a lot, right?
He was convicted of over 10, but
Wow.
they suspect it was probably way more than that.
Who was the one that had a ton of them? Was it Ted Bundy, or maybe I'm thinking of Dahmer?
𝐲𝐸 had quite a few. But as far as like serial killers that really get the body, I think they're all at around 20 to 30, the famous serial killers. Now you do have like the people that did it all at once, like the Deadly Tower in Texas, Charles Whitman, that like shot 50 or 60 people at the University of Texas, Austin on one day. I mean, you do have people like that.
Yeah.
It was also one of the inspirations. Yes, Roberta's absolutely right.
I don't know him.
And he was another one that he confessed to over 100, but I don't know how many were actually proven.
Look at what Kat said. Oh my god. If Ed Gein had killed people today, he would have just had an Etsy shop.
Is Grandma still missing? Well, I found her, and there she is. Maybe that should be my Halloween skit. I normally do a skit on Halloween. Maybe I should do the Ed Gein Etsy shop. I wonder how long that would stay on YouTube.
You should.
Before it was pulled down.
Oh wow, 𝐲𝐸 killed. They haven't done like a thing on 𝐲𝐸, right? Like a series or a movie.
Not a series. There's been like documentaries and I think one or two movies. But
I think it might have been him, or probably a few of them, where they had some like cheap straight to video movie about him. They had an Ed Gein one about that too, but I think it wasn't even.
Well, Dahmer's had several. There was My Friend Dahmer. There's been a couple. A couple of other movies,
but this is like a prequel to a prequel of his but like before the killings. I'm like, I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear, like, it's like you watch things about Jeffrey Dahmer, not to hear about like, oh, the high school years.
Well, actually, his high school years and his years in the military and his kid growing up was it was kind of like a coming attraction. I mean, the creepy things he did with animals and stuff like that. I mean, it's really interesting sociological study. I think that's why he gets so much attention, is because at the end, I mean, his parents were still supportive of him. They wanted him to get help. Well, 𝐲𝐸 too. 𝐲𝐸's mom was supportive of him as well. But I think that's why Dahmer gets so much attention, is because we did know so much about his background, because his parents were highly involved in everything.
Was that a good movie? My Friend Dahmer?
It was okay. It was okay. It mainly focused on high school army, and then just kind of went right into the kill.
Oh, they did get to the killings. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm sure this series will too. I'm not sure if this is a limited series or an actual. They're going to make it a long-term series.
I feel like there's only so much material.
Right. I mean, they've pretty much started way back, so it'll probably be more of a limited series. But yeah, 𝐾𝐿, absolutely, Roberta.
How do I know that name?
Yeah, he killed, I think, 6 and then murdered his family too. Yeah. Charles Whitman actually did that too. Charles Whitman shot his wife and his mother before he went to the top of the tower at the University of Texas and shot like 50 or 60 people. But he had a brain tumor. And there's a great movie that was put out in the 70s starring Kurt Russell called The Deadly Tower. That's a really good retelling of that.
And he blamed his brain tumor?
That they blamed his brain tumor. He was shot by the police when they were trying to bring him down. But
I was like, my mom had a brain tumor. I'm like, I'm glad she didn't try to kill me.
I mean, I don't think they were trying to blame that. They just, mentioned that after an autopsy was done, they found a brain tumor.
Well, in the first episode of Dahmer, they mentioned something about like he had surgery as a kid and they gave him too much anesthesia. I'm like, oh, come the hell on.
I was in the hospital once a month from age 4 to age 12 with my asthma. I was in oxygen tents, shot up with steroids. I didn't go out and murder anybody.
I know. I was a kid. I had a bunch of back surgeries. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to kill anyone.
Yeah. Damn it. I missed my window.
I know.
Speaking of crime, what do you think? Have you heard about that situation in North Dakota? I believe where the guy was drunk and he like ran down this. It was 41-year-old man. He ran down like this 18-year-old kid and said he ran him down because he was,
that.
Yeah.
That's horrible. And of course he gets away with it. That's horrible.
Vehicular manslaughter. It's not vehicular manslaughter if you aim your car at somebody deliberately. That is premeditated.
Bail too?
Yeah, he's out on bail. In North Dakota. You figure North Dakota would have tougher laws. I mean, that's the Old West.
No, it's happening in every state that just laws are not being enforced or laws are being weakened.
Roberta, as a citizen of New York, what's your opinion on cashless? No more cashless bail. I can see her furiously typing right now.
Well, look at the law they just passed in Chicago with that. Yeah. It's horrible.
I mean, police can't even take in trespassers anymore in Chicago. I mean,
crazy. And
they've decriminalized, theft of like just under $1,000. So I can literally go to LA, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, walk into a store and rip off $999 worth of stuff, and they'll do nothing to me except give me a citation.
Oh, and people do, because it's not even just that. It's that, laws don't matter if they're not being enforced. Like, it has happened so many times. I'm in New York City where you'll go into a drugstore like a Duane Reade or something at like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and there will be people just like with bags throwing shit in or like screaming and knocking shit off the shelves. And a couple times I've said to the cashier, does anyone do anything? And they were like, no, this is every night. I'm like, do you call the cops? No, they don't do anything.
So that's why we're creating food deserts when those things blows up.
Ice cream, the soda, the water, everything is under lock and key.
It's really sad. I mean,
funny because I don't shop there as much now because like if I'm just grabbing something quick because it takes so long. If I just want to grab a water, I'll be in there 10 minutes by the time I buzz and wait for someone to come and they unlock and then they got the wrong key. They got to go back, get another key, unlock it. So everyone loses.
That's the reason I'm very grateful that I do live in Tennessee because that just doesn't go in Tennessee.
I'm getting out.
I know you're going to Florida. I don't think it goes in Florida either.
Oh, I want to cry when I think about moving to Florida. I would go today if I could. Roberta, get out with me.
And you're not get arrested for trespassing.
That was awesome.
Oh, I love my family over here. They are awesome.
Yeah, Roberta, get the hell out of the city with me. It's horrible. It's horrible. I was born here. I've lived here my whole life. I've never lived anywhere else long term other than New York City. I can't get out of here. And I used to love it so much. I can't get out of here quickly enough now.
I lived in San Francisco for 2 years. I loved it when I lived there. I mean, it was way back in the 90s. Oh, wow. I loved it. But anytime I've been to New York, I've loved it. There's just an energy in that city that you don't.
No more.
And I work for a company that's a small business that's based in New York. That's one of my clients, and I love those guys. And I used to go up there once a year and work out of their office for a couple of weeks every year, and it's a lot of fun. But I don't know if I even want to go back right now with everything going on.
Roberta, let me know if this has been your experience also. But I used to love this city so much that I would just walk around for 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. And you would come home and had gone on all these adventures and met a dozen crazy people and had a million things happen. That doesn't happen anymore. Now the energy in the city is like post-apocalyptic. It's like everyone looks down, everyone avoids each other. There's no energy left in the city. It's dead. Except for all the crime and the noise. But any sort of life force is gone.
When you're afraid of walking down the street and getting mugged or hit, or I want them to make I'm not sure if the new Sex in the City, and that's all there is.
And just like that.
And just like that. I'm not sure if they'll make any more episodes, but I'd love to see one of them needs to get mugged, and then they walk out without cashless bail.
Oh no, it's very woke now. That would be inappropriate. It's very, very woke. It's horrible. We used to have life. Forget nightlife. We used to just have life, period. No more.
And it's just funny how the media is silent on the exodus from California and New York. It's just, they just don't talk about it.
In California and New York, everyone's moving to Texas and Florida.
Just don't turn them into New York and California. That's all I ask.
I know. You don't have to tell me that, but some people.
Yeah, I know. Yep, we've turned the city that never sleeps into the city that goes to bed at 8:30.
And again, forget 8:30. People don't leave their house. They just Zoom. They do. It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah, I cannot wait to go to Florida. I'm actually gonna be doing so. Everything has gotten so crazy expensive here, and all the things that have happened the last 2 years. So I'm gonna be doing like a GoFundMe type thing that'll hopefully help me move. But what I'm going to be doing with that is I'm going to be doing a documentary series, How to Escape a Blue State. And I'm going to show, because what I'm doing also is I'm bringing my family with me. My parents are elderly and they've had health problems. So I outright told them, I was like, I am not leaving without you. So I'm bringing them with me to Florida. So yeah, I'm going to do this documentary series showing like the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that a family goes through escaping a city that's gone to hell. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And then once I go through that process, I'm going to try to help everyone I can in any way I can move to better places.
We'll do like some kind of equivalent of the Underground Railroad.
Yes!
But yeah, if you need any, keep me in mind. If you need any help with any of that, let me know. Even just helping you move. I'm happy to meet you somewhere along the East Coast and help you if you need to.
Oh my God, we should meet up on the way.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I'm in Tennessee. I'm not that far.
You got to come stay with us. We'll have like beach party weekend.
Absolutely. We will be in Florida in the next 2 years. We've already decided. And not that Tennessee is not a great place to live, but we want beach action. So.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You got to move near me. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm going there with, so a friend of mine is actually moving there too. And so we're all going to get apartments in the same building.
Nice.
So he and I are going there in a couple weeks to like scope it out and look at places. And
nice.
I'm so excited.
Keep us posted.
I'm so excited.
Well, as normal, I've had a wonderful time with you. I'm going to go ahead and give people back their Monday night, but it has been wonderful. Everybody go check out Mike over on his YouTube channel. Check him out on Twitter, on TikTok. He does some wonderful.
Oh, I got banned again. I'm off TikTok. I've retired from TikTok.
Banned again? What happened? What happened?
They do not like my impressions of totally normal people that they love on TikTok. They did not find my impressions of them very funny.
That's so weird.
But I still have them on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube.
Awesome. Well, check him out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
What I was going to say also, if you like my stuff and feel like helping to support me, subscribe to my locals community. It's like $5 a month or however much you want. Tracy, we've been doing these awesome movie nights over Zoom where we like all watch a movie together. And Tracy has been there. We just watched Hellraiser the other night, which was amazing. I'd never seen it. I feel like we kind of alternate between like amazingly bad movies and actual good movies. So we did that one, They, Them, that came out. We did the woke reboot of The Craft, which was a train wreck, but we had fun. So yeah, you guys should join my movie night. Subscribe to my locals. It's just
Definitely.
mikeharlow.locals.com.
Everyone, I will put all of his links in the description below when this is reposted, so you'll see all that there, and you definitely go over and support Mike. He's good people.
Oh, sorry. By the way, wait, I just saw Kat said Florida has very weird crimes. I love DeSantis, but the people are a little. So can I tell you, my whole life, because like I said, I've lived in New York forever. So my whole life, people always ask me, how do you have these ridiculous stories? Like, how does all this weird shit happen to you? And I would just be like, New York. So someone said to me recently, they're like, in Florida, weird shit happens all the time. I was like, thank God, I'm so relieved to hear that. I need my weird shit. So that makes me love it even more. I'm like, the crazier the better. Bring it on.
I would much rather have Florida man crimes than the deadly stuff that's happening in other places.
Seriously.
Well, all right, everyone. We will see you
Tracy,
soon.
You're the best.
Until next time, everyone. Bye.